And I encourage everyone to actively participate throughout this webinar. You can ask your question using the Q&A tab, and we are here to help you out. You can also share us your insight about this topic. We'll get more insight about your requirements as well. All right. So as you know, in today's fast-moving business environment, organization faces ongoing challenges to effectively manage the expenses for the employees and ensuring the smoother pay run processing. And all this task involves intricate calculation, meticulous record keeping, and all comes with the requirement that it has to be processed in a timely manner and in an accurate way. And however, with the integration of Zoho Expense and Zoho Payroll, you'll be able to overcome all these challenges with remarkable efficiency and accuracy. And also, one more thing I just want to mention that during this webinar, you'll also come across few polls. Please do answer them. That will help us in getting more feedback about your insights. All right, so let's take a closer look at the key areas we'll be covering today. Firstly, we'll see the overview of Zoho Payroll. We'll also explore the Zoho Expense tool, and we'll see how you can easily integrate both of these tools. And we'll explore the Zoho HR product ecosystem. And also, we have an interesting offer for you, which we'll disclose at the end of this session. And we'll conclude the session by Q&A, right? So let's get into the session now. I believe most of you must be using Zoho Payroll already. For people who are new to Zoho Payroll, let me introduce our cloud-based payroll software where you can process your pay runs end-to-end. You can automate your salary calculation, can manage your compliances, and Zoho Payroll will help you in automating your salary disbursement, right? We have a connected banking feature, which we'll see in a while. And also you can provide the employee self-service portal access to your employees, where employees can check their payroll details anytime, anywhere from their mobile device itself. So let's get into the product. Yeah, so I think you can see the screen. So this is the user interface for Zoho Payroll. So this is the dashboard. This is how a dashboard will look like once you have started running the payroll through Zoho Payroll. This dashboard will show you the details like deduction summary, which will give you details about the EPF, ESI, TDS deduction details. And we have a payroll cost summary here in a graphical presentation. So once you have done the payroll through Zoho Payroll, you'll get the details here. So it's a graphical representation basically. And we have a pending task section under the name to task section. So any pending task in your organization related to employee exit, reimbursement claims, or maybe the proof of investment, that will be displayed under this section. Left side bar will show you the key modules that we have, which has employees module, pay runs, and we'll see all these modules in detail. But before that, let me just walk you through the configuration that we have. So under settings, you can find these options. So these are the configuration options that we have. Let me just highlight the key settings to you. First one is the statutory component. You can manage your compliances under this section. You can see here professional tax and the labor welfare fund. So this will be calculated automatically based on the respective states. Now you don't need to worry about these things. It will be taken care by the system itself. And coming to the EPF part, which is a crucial one. So here is where you'll be configuring the employer and the employee contribution rate. So which has the standard options, 12% of actual PF wage, or restrict contribution of 15,000 rupees of PF wage, which is nothing but 1,800 rupees reduction. So there are a few other crucial configuration available here. So using this, you can configure the EPF deduction policy, right? And then coming to the ESI part. So unlike EPF, in ESI, you have to just provide the organization's ESI number. Employer and the employee contribution is already mentioned here and will be taken care by the system. You just need to mention whether the employee's contribution of ESI is included in the CTC or not. So that was about the statutory component configuration. So these options are also available at the employee level. So at the employee level, you can choose to enable or disable for the required employees. So if any employee is not contributing against EPF, we can disable the EPF for the particular employee. And coming to the next part, salary components. So here is where you'll be creating the master salary components in your organization. We have 3 different sections under this. We have earnings, deduction, reimbursements. In earnings, you can create fixed earning, variable pay earnings. So you can find the list of earnings here. In the earning type, you can choose a required earning type. You can mention the name of the component. You can configure whether it's going to be considered for the EPF or ESI contribution. Or if you have a flexible benefit plan in your organization, you can enable that component for the FBP. So in this manner, we'll create the fixed earning, variable pay earning. Likewise, we can create deductions also. We have pre-tax deduction, post-tax deduction components. So we can create an associate with the respective employees. And we also have reimbursement. So pay extra attention to this part. So we have a reimbursement which is part of salary structure. So these are not the expense reimbursement. So if you have any such reimbursement as part of CTC, you can easily associate with employees, and employees will be able to submit the reimbursement bill from the self-service portal of Zoho Payroll itself, right? And coming to the next one, salary template. So after creating all these earning deduction reimbursements, you'll be able to create a salary structure out of it. You can design your own salary structure. So we have additional option here as salary template. So you can design your own salary structure, right? You can just mention the name of the template. You can just add the required components to it, and you can design the salary template. And the next one is the integration part. So we have an integration available with Zoho People, which is our HRMS solution, using which you can easily sync in the employees' details and their attendance details. And we have an integration with Zoho Books as well, which is our accounting tool. And obviously with Zoho Expense, we have an integration, which we'll see in a while. And next one is the direct deposit feature. So we have it. We have a connected banking feature with these available banks. So we have with ICICI Bank, Yes Bank, and HSBC. So if you're already having a corporate account with any of these banks, you'll be able to integrate it or easily, and you can automate your salary disbursement process. If you don't have an account with any of these banks, please don't worry. We have a bank advice file available. It will be generated automatically. So I'll show that file in a while in the parents module. Next one is the employees onboarding. So you can easily onboard your employees, and you can offboard the employees from here. So in employees module, we will be managing the employees records. So all their personal information, payment informations, and their basic details will be stored here. You can find their salary structure. You can find their investment declarations, proof of investments. And once you have started running the payroll for your employees, you can find the pay slips here generated. You can find their TDS worksheet. And also you can find the Form 16. And the next one is the loans tab here. So if you have provided any loans or any salary advances to your employees, you can find their loan summary or the loan history here. So we have a dedicated module here as loan module. So where you can record the loans or salary advances, and you can recover the employee's loan in an equated installment. You can mention the installment amount. You can mention the start date for the repayment. From that particular month, the installment amount will be recovered automatically, right? And also if you want to pause and resume the installment deduction, that is also available. And if the employee makes a repayment and wants to foreclose the loan, they can also provide the repayment, and that repayment can be recorded over here, right? And let's see how we can update the employee's record. So we have three options. Either you can click on add employee and add the employee's details manually, or we have a bulk import option. So here you can find several details which can be bulk imported. So in this list, you can find employees detail as the option. You can just download a sample file here. You can just update the details of all the employees, and you can bulk import this. So once the employees details are updated, you can update their salary details as well. So for salary details, you can just choose salary details. And for salary revision, you can go with the salary revision option. So these options are available here, and we can bulk import that. So the third option is that we have an integration with Zoho People. So with the help of this integration, we can easily bring in the employees details from Zoho People itself. Just that you have to update their salary details over here, right? Now coming to the most important module here, which is the pay run. So here in the pay runs, you can run the regular payroll as well as the final settlement for the exited employees. So first, let's see the regular pay run. So here you can create a pay run. Yeah, so once the pay run is created, you can find the salary calculated for all the employees here. You can find a breakup of their salary with the benefits calculations like voluntary provident fund, income tax deduction you can find. So if you want to add any loss of pay, you can just add it from here. Or if you want to add any additional earning deductions, so those things can be added from this screen. If these things has to be bulk imported, we have an import option. So you can go with these options to bulk import. Or else if you have integrated Zoho People, then you'll get a fetch data option. You can fetch these a loss of pay and payable days information from Zoho People itself. And based on the payable days, the salaries will be calculated, And if you want to check the TDS calculation, so basically the TDS is calculated based on the employee salary slab and their investment declarations. So if you want to check the detailed calculation, how it is done in the system, you can refer to this TDS sheet. So here you can find all those calculations. So these things, if you want to check in Excel format, like if you want to check the parent details or the TDS worksheet in Excel format, so these things can also be exported. So in this manner, we'll run the regular parent, right? And if there is any pending task in your organization apart from the FH LOP details, then you can also find all those details here, and you can just complete your pending task and just go with the approval. So you can just submit and approve the parent. So once the parent is approved, the next step would be disbursing the salaries to the employees. So how would you disburse the salary? So as I mentioned about the direct deposit option, if you have integrated the option the respective banks like ICICI Bank, Yes Bank, or HSBC, you'll get an option here as initiate payment. You'll just click on that, and you have to authenticate it. For ICICI Bank, you'll get the OTP. For Yes Bank and HSBC, you can just enter the secret pin and initiate the payments. Once the payment is done, the payment status will be updated here as paid, and the payslips will be sent out automatically. What if you don't have an account with any of these banks? Then you'll get an option here to download a bank advice file. So you can just download a bank advice file. So these are available in these given formats. So this file will have all the crucial information which you will require for disbursing the salary to the employees by submitting to the bank. So this file will have the details like bank account number, salary which has to be paid to the employees, IFSC code. So these details will be there. You can just submit to the bank, make the payments. Once you got an intimation from the bank that the payment has been disbursed to the employees, just record the payment here. Just need to mention the date here when the payment was disbursed, and just complete the pay run. Just confirm it, and the pay slip notification will be sent out to the employees automatically, right? So that was about the regular pay run. What if the employee leaves the organization? You can just go to the respective employee's profile. You'll get an option here as initiate exit. Just mention the reason for exiting here. Mention the last working day. You can just mention the final settlement date. Let me just select one. You can mention the personal email address of the employee in which the final settlement will be sent out to the exited employee, right? So if you'll just update all these information, a separate pay run will be created. So here is where you'll be running the final settlement for the exited employees. So you can do it here. And then comes the approval. So in the approvals, we have reimbursements, proof of investment, and salary revision. So these things has to go through an approval process. You'll be approving them from here. And we have tax and form section. So every month you'll be paying the TDS to the government. That TDS challan details, you have to record it here. So once you have recorded the TDS challan for that particular quarter, you'll be able to generate a form 24Q in the text format. You just need to convert it to FVU format and use it for the quarterly TDS return filing. And the next one is form 16. So here is where you'll be generating the form 16 to your employees. So I believe most of you must have generated the form 16 by now. So here we have an option. So if you have generated a form 16 part A from Traces, or you have downloaded both part A and part B from the Traces portal, we have an option to generate, to sign the documents from here, and you can publish it to all your employees. So when you'll publish it, it will be published to all your exited employees as well, who exited in that financial year. It will be sent out automatically in their personal email address. And then coming to the reports module. So here, let me just highlight key reports to you. So we have salary register here every month. Your accounting team would require this report. So here you can find the list of all the active employees, terminated employees. If you want to customize it using a filter, we have a filter here as work location, department, designation, parent status, employee status. You can just apply it and just extract the required report out of the system here. So basically this report will have all the earning details, the reimbursements, pre-tax deduction, post-tax deductions, taxes, gross pay, net pay. So all these details will be available in this particular report. And with respect to EPF filing, we have a EPF report in the ECR format itself. You just need to download it from here in the ECR format file, just upload it in the EPF website, and just you can do the EPF filings through, by simply downloading and uploading the EPF website. And then we have employees report. You can find the employee salary revision report. So here you can also find a bifurcation in the salary revision. What is the difference in the salary revision, how much is the amount increase, how much has been decreased. So these values will be highlighted over here. You can find the form 24Q annexure 2 here. So this annexure 2 you would require in the TDS, annual TDS return filing. You can just use it from this report, and you can also check the activity logs. So as an administrator, you can also monitor the other users in your organization, can just use it for the auditing purpose as well. So that was all about the admin side. Now let me just walk you through the employee side as well. So this is the employee self-service portal. So I have switched my screen now. So this is the employee self-service portal where employees can check their salary structure, they can find their pay slips, they can find their TDS worksheet, they can check their annual earnings in a graphical manner with all the YTD values, the earning, deduction, taxes, reimbursements. If the employees are given any reimbursement as a part of CTC, they can make a claim from here. And if the window, IT declaration window is open for the employees, from the admin side, the employees can submit it from here. And the employees can check their loan summary. And in documents, the employees can find their pay slips and the Form 16 once that is generated for them. So, well, that was all about, Zoho Payroll. That was a quick overview of Zoho Payroll. So now I'm handing over the session to Mr. Fayaz. So he'll be walking you through Zoho Expense now. Over to you, Fayaz. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Am I audible? Great. Thank you, Benson, for the payroll demo. So next up, we'll be covering Zoho Expense and how the integration works. So if you have, so once again, to remind you, we have a few polls that are running in the webinar. So if you can share us your feedback through the polls. And if you have any questions on Zoho Expense or on expense management or on Zoho Payroll, please feel free to add them on the question answer session. So along with us, we also have a few product experts from both the applications who can answer your questions live. So I'll quickly start sharing my screen and get started. Right. So Zoho Expense is our employee expense management application. So Zoho Expense is your entire travel and expense reporting application that helps you right from planning your business travel, booking your business travel requests, submitting day-to-day expense claims and expense reimbursements, and also setting up purchase requests and corporate cards. So Zoho Expense is not just an application where you can claim your food bills or your Uber receipts or your taxi receipts, but it is a powerful application that can handle your entire business travel and expense reimbursement. So let's say if you have your sales team who travel often to visit the client, or if you have a marketing team that attends events, then you can make the business travel booking process easier through Zoho Expense. So even if you have a travel desk, or if you want the employees to book their own flights and hotels within the company policy, we have functionalities for both. Now, this is the overview of the functionalities, and I will also be showing you a product demo right after this. And every time an employee has an expense, so let's say if an employee, if your sales team travels to Mumbai to visit a client, so if he has a food bill or let's say a taxi bill, he can just take a photo of the receipt using the mobile application of Zoho Expense, and we will automatically extract all the line items via OCR to create that as an expense entry. So OCR scans receipts in more than 15 languages, and the application is also available in multiple languages as well. And after every expense they create, they can add it to an expense report and then submit it for approval, where we can set up multi-level criteria-based approval workflows, where the reports will be automatically submitted to multiple levels based on the criteria defined. And over the last few years, we have also set up a lot of cost control options within the applications in order to eliminate fraud inside the organization on the expense claims, and also to limit the employees from submitting excess expenses and to prevent overspending inside the organization. So features like category limits, expense audits, and budget control helps you ensure that. And if you provide corporate cards to your employees, then Zoho Expense automatically integrates with American Express, MasterCard, and with Visa, so that the card transactions are fetched automatically and the accounting team is aware of what are the transactions that are happening to corporate cards. And if you have a purchase process in your business, then the employees can also create and submit purchase requests. Now, if you have Zoho Books, then all the items from Zoho Books will be automatically integrated with Zoho Expense and show up as items when you create a purchase request. Now, this was the initial overview. So let me quickly switch over to Zoho Expense and show you how the product looks like. So this is how Zoho Expense looks like. So the application is very user-friendly, and the UI and the user interface of payroll and expense is very similar. So we have three predefined. So the basic functionality in the application is to add your employees as users within the application, and for them to create and submit their expenses, travel requests, expense reports for approval and reimbursement. So we have three predefined user roles inside Zoho Expense, which is the submitter, approver, and the admin. So based on the user role assigned to an employee, their application interface and functionalities would change. A submitter can only create and submit expenses and travel requests, so they don't have any other permissions other than creation and submission. The approver is your manager user who will be responsible for approving the expense reports and travel requests submitted to him by his team. And then we have an admin. The admin has the entire control of the organization, right from adding users, settings, defining policies for the organization, and has the end-to-end control of the organization. The approver and admin can also create and submit their own expenses and travel requests for approval. And if you notice on the left-hand side of my screen, there are two specific views. We have a My View, which is for the admins and the approvers to create their own expenses and expense reports from over here. Then we have a separate admin view here where the admin can control the entire organization from this side. And once the users are added, they would be available in this section where you can see all the users. And with the Zoho Payroll, Zoho Expense integration, you can sync your users from Zoho Payroll into Zoho Expense at the click of a button. We also integrate with Zoho People and with other several HRMS softwares in the market. So even if you're using Zoho People, Darwinbox, or SuccessFactors, or any other HRMS software, we can set up an integration with Zoho Expense via that. And once you have the three predefined user roles, you can also create a new role and provide custom permission so that you can control the access various users have inside the application. And once the users have been added, we have the policies module here where you can define multiple policies inside the organization. Now, you might have employees who are, let's say, junior employees, you have managers, senior managers, and vice presidents of the organization. And the expense rules and reimbursement might not be the same for every user. So for a specific set of employees, you can create multiple policies and assign the policy to a user. So based on the policy that is assigned to him, their rules will also change. So under policies, you have multiple options. You can upload the company's travel policy so that the employees are able to see the visibly see the policy inside their account. You can also set up category-based limits. So for all categories inside the application, so category is basically our chart of accounts that comes in from your accounting application. So for the entire set of categories, you can define the general limits. So let's say what is allowed and what is not allowed in terms of expense reimbursements can be defined here. So if you have a policy in your organization that employees are not allowed to submit expenses above 5,000, or if you want a different approval workflow for it, or if you want expenses above 5,000 rupees to stand out separately. So those details can be mentioned in the expense amount limit. And if you want a receipt to be attached with every expense above 10 rupees, you can configure it like this. Now, this is the general limit, which is applicable for all the categories. But if you want category specific limits, that is this 5,010 would be the default limit inside the application. But if you want something specific in terms of, let's say, IT and internet expenses, the limit is just 1,000 rupees. Or if there is no receipt required limit for it, you can set this up like this and just leave it as it is. So similarly, you can set up multiple categories inside the application and also control the visibility of these categories. So let's say employees in this particular policy does not want or do not want to see certain categories, like let's say salary payable category or this category. So these might not be employee specific categories. So you can enable and disable categories based on every policy as well. And if your employees claim reimbursement for the distance that they travel, and that is mileage reimbursement, so your sales team might use their own vehicle to go visit clients, and they might require a mileage reimbursement. So in that case, you can define the vehicles that they will be using. So you can add multiple vehicles, like let's say two-wheeler or four-wheeler within the application, and you can allow them to create mileage expenses. So here you can define a rate that is since the starting of 2023, the rate is going to be 15 rupees per kilometer. So those rates can be defined. We can even define dates based on the vehicles that have been configured inside the app. And if you have employees who claim daily allowances, that is DAs for their travel allowance, basically TAs and DAs for their travel, that can be configured as per diem inside Zoho Expense. Now, per diem is a very vast module inside Zoho Expense, which can be customized to any requirement. Per diem can be customized based on a location, how I have configured. Let's say if they travel to Bangalore, they get a flat 800 rupees per diem. If it is Delhi, they get 750, and for Chennai, they get 650. So you can configure different per diems based on the location that they travel to. You can also configure per diem based on the number of hours they work in a particular project. So if you want to provide an hourly based per diem, that can also be configured inside the system. And if you want to provide a component based system, that is out of the 800, if you want 200 for food, 400 for lodging, and another 200 for incidentals, we can split the per diem into multiple daily and actual use cases. And as I said, we have also been working on a lot of cost control features within Zoho Expense in order to prevent overspending and to make sure that the company does not go into a lot of spending pattern. We have set up a rules module inside a policy where we can configure a daily, monthly, or an yearly limit on expense categories. Now, these limits are useful when you have employees claiming something like a mobile bill reimbursement every month. So you can set up a rule type as monthly limit, set it as a fixed amount, and say that for employees belonging to this policy, 1,000 rupees is the monthly limit on telephone bill expenses. And you can also define whether it should be warned, the employee should be warned from submission, or they should be blocked from submitting the entire expense report. So throughout the month, the employee can even claim up to claim any number of expenses, but as soon as the cumulative value crosses 1,000, the system will automatically flag it as a policy violation and send out a warning to the user. And if it is blocking, then the employee will not be able to submit expenses above this particular limit. The same is applicable to a daily limit also. So for example, if you have employees who stay in traveling employees who stay in hotels. So if you have a limit, let's say if this employees who belong to this policy have a 1,500 rupees daily limit cap on hotel bills. So you can select the category as lodging, enter the amount as 1,500 and set it up as a daily limit. So on a particular day, if the employee crosses 1,500 rupees for lodging, then system will automatically show it as a policy violated expense claim. And even for yearly limit, you have you can set up a policy. If you provide an annual internet bill or a broadband bill or any requirement on an yearly limit, you can set that up as an yearly limit and apply the same amount and category filter, and it will automatically block the employee from submitting. And along with daily, monthly, and yearly limits, we also allow custom limits because expense management is something that is different to every organization, and every organization has unique needs. So when you define a custom rule, you can set up a criteria, and when this criteria is met in an expense, then it is automatically blocked from submission. So you might have a particular category where only expenses in Indian rupees is accepted. So if you say if it is meals and entertainment, or if it is something like a telephone bill reimbursement, and if the currency is not INR. So this is basically defining a criteria. So here I have said that if the employee is claiming a telephone bill in any currency other than Indian rupees, then the employee should be blocked from submission, and we will send out a warning message like this. So the employee is blocked from submission, and the reason for rejection is shown over here, that please upload bills in INR. So basically, you can define your own criteria, and the application will automatically block or warn the employee and provide this warning message. So this ensures that the employees submit expenses at 100% compliant to the organization policies and organization rules. And on top of that, we also have an audit engine in Zoho Expense, where we have provided a complete smart audit functionality inside Zoho Expense itself. Now, a lot of expense reporting softwares in the market also have this audit functionality, but it is often as an integrated system with a third party, or they have an in-house company which provides services to audit expense reports. Now, this is a time-taking process and also costs you a lot of money to set up audits with different softwares. But Zoho Expense has a pre-built audit functionality as part of the plan itself, where you can audit every expense report that is submitted. So we have various audit verifications inside the application. That is, let's say receipt verification, where if the data on the expense form and the data on the receipt is different, then the application will automatically flag it as a receipt verification failed expense. So the receipt could say 50 rupees, and if the employee has added at 60 rupees, then it will automatically say that there is a data mismatch. Similarly, if you have a list of merchants from where the expense is not reimbursable at all, then you can set up a block list of merchants inside the application. So every time an employee creates an expense from that particular merchant, it will be automatically blocked from submission. And there is also a duplicate detection functionality available. That is, if two employees submit the same bills, so if there are multiple employees submitting expenses, the same person could submit the photo of the same receipt twice. So in order to eliminate that, we have a duplicate detection feature, which will look for duplicate invoices or duplicate receipts across the organization and flag it for you, so that you don't do multiple reimbursement and excess reimbursement for an employee is eliminated. So similar to that, you have multiple audit functionalities inside the application. You can enable everything, or you can enable what is applicable to you based on your requirement. And this was about the policies. So similar to this policy, you can create multiple policies inside the application and put up configurations as you require. Now, let me quickly switch over to the My View and show you what are the different functionalities inside the application. So we have a home screen. So every user will have their own interface to Zoho Expense. You get a home screen where you will be able to see the entire data of the organization, of your account here. You can see your most recent reports, your unsubmitted reports, what is your next action item that is pending inside the application will be available in the home screen. We also have a trips module to manage travel requests. So we have both online and offline travel booking process available. That is, if you have a travel desk in your organization, or if you have an external agent who books tickets for you, most of the companies send an email to the travel agent, who will then make the booking for the employee. But instead, they can create a travel request in Zoho Expense that looks something like this. So if I have a client meet coming up in Bangalore, then I can make a travel booking arrangement like this. So this travel request will actually take me to a custom form, which will allow you to enter a trip detail like domestic or international. The fields that you see on the left-hand side are all customizable by the admin. You can define whether it should be mandatory or not. And you have the entire trip itinerary over here in this section. So you can book for flights, hotels, car rentals, buses, or trains within the application. And this itinerary form will capture every information of your travel, including whether if it is a one-way trip, round trip, what is the source city. So if you're, let's say, planning a flight from Delhi to, let's say, Mumbai, you can put up your request here like this. So if I plan to leave on 28th, come back on the 1st, my departure time, return time, every detail of my travel will be available here. So I can create and submit a travel request form here like this, and save and submit my travel request. Now we can set up criteria-based approval workflows for travel request. You can set up an international, for international, you can set up 3 levels of approval workflow. For domestic, it can be a 1-level approval workflow. And based on your requirement, you can set up approval workflows for travel request here like this. And you can also add your travel agent into Zoho Expense, or your travel desk into Zoho Expense, where the travel desk will get a dedicated travel desk view from where they can attach tickets or make the bookings for the employees based on the request. Along with this, we also have an online booking tool inside Zoho Expense itself, where the flight tickets can be booked by the employees itself. That is, if you don't have a travel desk, then you can store your company corporate card into Zoho Expense and then make the booking, allow the employees to make the bookings based on the company policy. The employee will be able to create a search for their flights, search their hotels. They can select which flight they want. They can book a seat, and the booking will not be made, but it will be put on hold and sent for the company's approval. And after the managers have approved the travel request, then the booking will be fulfilled and the employee will be able to receive his tickets from the application itself. So this is also in accordance with the company's policy. The admin can also define what is eligible for an employee. Certain employees might be eligible to fly business, but certain employees might be allowed to fly only in economic class. So you can make that definitions inside the application, and system will show them options based on what you have defined in the app. And once the travel is completed, that the employee will have expenses. So as I said earlier, Zoho Expense mobile app is the application that all the users can use without using the web application itself. They can get everything done on the mobile application itself, right? From creating and submitting expenses, expense reports, travel requests. Managers can approve from the mobile app itself. So easiest way to do it is to take a picture of the receipt and upload that into the application to auto scan the expense and create that expense automatically. There are multiple options where you can also initiate an auto scan from the computer or from the cloud application. You can add an expense via the form. You can attach a receipt from your computer, and you can fill the forms on the right hand side. Once again, these forms are also customizable. You can enable or disable fields which are not required to you, and you can also claim a reimbursement or customize the entire field based on your requirement. And to claim mileage expenses, the users can use the mobile application to track distance using GPS. That is, once I leave my location, I can click on Start GPS. The application will automatically track the distance that I have covered and record my mileage expense automatically. Instead, they can also enter the distance over here, and based on the rate per kilometer that you have defined, the amount will be automatically calculated. And to claim per diem, the employees just have to select the location to which they travel to. Let's say if they travel to Bangalore and they are traveling from 1st of the month till 11th, then automatically whatever is the eligible per diem for me will automatically pop up over here, and I can add that to an expense report and claim for reimbursement. And every expense needs to be added to an expense report. So it is just like a file in which you add expenses. So all the expenses that you add will be available in the expense report over here like this. You can see the entire calculation over here. You'll be able to see what is the total claim, what is the amount to be reimbursed over here will be available inside the application. And if you see over here in this particular expense report, you can see that the entire expense report is available and the advance is also recorded. So Zoho Expense also allows you to keep a track of the cash advances that you issue to employees. So let's say if someone is traveling to Delhi from Mumbai, then they might need a 5,000 rupees advance to spend on their trip. So you can record that particular advance payment inside the application here like this, so that they can associate the advance payment with the expense report. Now, if you take a look at this particular expense report, I have claimed for a reimbursement of 5,000 and applied an advance of 1,000. So you can see the summary over here. The amount reimbursable total is deducted by the applied advance, and only the remaining gets reimbursed to the particular employee. Similarly, in the advances module, you can see all the unreported advances and the reported advances together, so that you can know how much is pending with every employee. We also have a cards module in Zoho Expense where you can add your corporate card, your personal card, fetch the transaction, and convert all those transactions into expenses. Now, these are the functionalities that are available for a submitter user. And the admin also have an admin view inside the application where they can see the entire company's spend summary in a single place. So the spend summary allows you to see the spend pattern of the organization. You have an overall summary session. So this is not a generated report. This is just by clicking on the dashboard where you can get a spend summary of the entire organization from in this single screen itself. The admin also has a capability to see the trips and the entire report submitted inside the organization. So here, if you can see, there is an expense report that requires a reimbursement. So after the approval is completed, the admin accesses the expense reports, the reports module in the report section. And to reimburse this particular expense report, you can click on this reimburse button and say reimburse via Zoho Payroll. So this is the latest integration that we have in Zoho Expense, where we can reimburse an employee via Zoho Payroll itself via the employee's pay run. So once I click on the via Zoho Payroll option, then automatically the status of this expense report will change from approved to awaiting reimbursements via payroll. So this is at a single click, you can reimburse an employee and add it to the pay run. So in Zoho Expense itself, you will see a new filter which says awaiting a reimbursement via payroll. You can see the list of reports that are awaiting reimbursement via Zoho Payroll. And if you switch over to Zoho Payroll, so this is the UI of Zoho Payroll and how the application looks like. And in the pay runs module, you have the pay run that is coming up for this particular month. And once you click on view details, you have the option over here to the application also shows you what are the pending tasks. So you can click on this task and you can see that there is an expense reimbursement coming up from Zoho Expense that needs to be added to the pay run. So you can click on view and apply. And you can see the expense report that is come up from Zoho Expense. So if you see the total reimbursable amount, this is for multiple expense reports. So there are multiple reports under a single user's name. So the total amount gets added to the parent automatically, and the reimbursement can be applied to the parent. And when you scroll down to the employee list and select the employee, you can see the entire earnings and deductions. And along with that, there is also a business expense reimbursement that is getting processed via Zoho Payroll itself. And once this pay run is made, then automatically the employee receives the reimbursement and the salary both in a single click of a button. So the last thing I would like to show is how to set up the integration. So from Zoho Payroll, you can access Zoho Expense. You can you can click on Zoho Apps from the settings icon and select Zoho Expense and click on the integration and check this out. So after the integration, you can click on view details, and you can also set up a label name, how you would like to show up on the payslip of the particular employee. And now that is how Zoho Expense that is about Zoho Expense and Zoho Payroll. So this is what the application does. So with this integration, we have integrated both Zoho Expense and Zoho Payroll to sync the users and the reimbursement info between both the applications. But why have we done this? So we have a scenario which most of you might be aware of. There are any of the months, there is a salary that is definitely going out from the payroll team to the employees. But there are also multiple payments made by the finance team as part of the reimbursement. Multiple employees might be traveling, they might submit their day-to-day expenses, office expenses, overtimes. There are multiple reports that are being submitted, and the finance team ends up making multiple reimbursements throughout the month. There might be a reimbursement going out on 1st, there is a 17th, there is a reimbursement going out on 17th, and then the salary on 31st. So we have tried to unify this entire process via the Zoho Expense, Zoho Payroll integration. Now, if you look at the Zoho HR ecosystem, we have Zoho People as the onboarding application where you can onboard entire users into the application and onto your Zoho payroll system as well. So from Zoho People, and Zoho Payroll integration, the user data and attendant details are coming up into Zoho Payroll. Similarly, Zoho People also integrates with Zoho Expense, where users, departments, and the reporting manager and approval information is synced between both these applications. The latest integration is Zoho Expense and Zoho Payroll, where the employee information and the employee reimbursement information is also sent. Now, Zoho Payroll acts as a single repository or a single application through which you can set up your reimbursement. So with Zoho Payroll, you can automatically send out both the salaries and the employee reimbursement and FBP as a single payment to the employee. So finance team gets saved the headache of multiple reimbursement inside the application, and the reimbursement is also paid along with the employee's salary. So this is what we try to achieve with this integration, to unify the payments that goes out to the employees, and it goes out as one payment.